Right now, the shelves at your Walmart, your grocery store, your local supply shop are fully stocked. You can walk in, grab what you need, pay, and go home. That window will not stay open. History has shown us over and over that when a crisis hits, whether it is a hurricane, a power grid failure, a financial shock, or a civil disruption, people flood those same stores inside 24 hours. And the shelves that were full this morning are bare by nightfall. People who waited are standing in empty aisles holding nothing. People who prepared are already home. So here's the question you have to ask yourself right now. Are you the person who panics and joins that crowd? Or are you the person who already has what they need and stays home? Today I am giving you 15 items, not food, not water, because everyone already talks about food and water. These are 15 specific things that disappear from store shelves faster than almost anything else the moment a crisis hits. And 3 of them are items almost no prepper is talking about right now, but every prepper needs. Stay with me through all 15. Welcome back to Prepper Joe. If you are new here, this is where we talk practically about getting your family ready for whatever the world decides to throw at us. No panic here, no doom scrolling, just real honest preparation for real people. Right now, conditions are calm enough that you can walk into a store and buy what you need without competing with a mob. That is the window, use it. Let's start with the 3 items that most preppers are not stocking and should be. Item 1 is one nobody talks about, and it could matter more than almost anything else on this list if a situation goes longer than a few weeks. When people think about long-term survival, they think about food, water, shelter, protection. What almost nobody thinks about is sanitation. Specifically, what happens when the sewage system fails, when municipal water treatment goes offline, when waste management stops functioning entirely. Historically, when infrastructure collapses, disease kills far more people than conflict or starvation. Every time. Waterborne illness, waste-related contamination, bacteria spreading through a community without functioning sanitation. This is the threat that people never prep for because it is uncomfortable to think about. Agricultural lime and quicklime are what you need for this. A 50-pound bag at a farm supply store costs almost nothing right now. Agricultural lime, also called garden lime, neutralizes waste, suppresses odor, and dramatically slows bacterial spread when you are managing sanitation without a sewage system. Quicklime is the more aggressive version and provides stronger disinfecting action. Handle it with gloves and eye protection because it reacts with moisture and generates heat. Buy several bags. Store them dry in sealed containers. This is the prep that separates people who have thought through week 3 from people who have only thought through week 1. Item 2 is heirloom non-hybrid seeds. And I want to explain exactly why this is different from just buying food. Most preppers think about food in terms of what they have already stored. Cans, freeze-dried meals, grain buckets, that covers you for weeks or months. But what happens when that supply runs out and the grocery store supply chain has not recovered? What is your plan at that point? The ability to produce food is a completely different category from the ability to store it, and almost nobody stocks the one thing that gives you that ability permanently. Open-pollinated heirloom seeds. Here is the distinction that matters. Hybrid seeds, which is most of what you find at a garden center, produce plants that do not reliably reproduce their own seed. You grow the crop, you eat the crop, and next season, you need to buy seeds again. In a long-term disruption, that supply chain is gone. Heirloom seeds are open-pollinated varieties that have bred true for generations. You grow the plant, you save the seed from the strongest specimens, you plant again next season. That cycle continues indefinitely. One well-maintained heirloom seed library is a permanent food production capability that does not expire and does not depend on any supply chain being intact. Stock a comprehensive variety covering calorie-dense crops like beans, squash, and corn, plus greens, root vegetables, and herbs. Store them sealed in airtight containers with oxygen absorbers in a cool, dark location. Properly stored heirloom seeds remain viable for 5 to 10 years or longer. Get them now. Seed supplies disappear fast when conditions shift, because experienced growers know exactly what they are worth. Item 3 is fermentation supplies. Here is a question worth sitting with. You have 6 months of food stored. The power has been out for 3 weeks. Your refrigerator stopped working on day 1. How are you preserving fresh produce without any refrigeration? The answer humans used for thousands of years before electricity is lactofermentation. It requires nothing but vegetables, salt, water, and basic equipment. No power, no refrigeration, no chemicals. It converts fresh produce into shelf-stable food that keeps for months at room temperature. What you need? Wide-mouth mason jars in quart and half-gallon sizes, fermentation weights, airlock lids, non-iodized salt in bulk because iodine kills the bacterial cultures you need, and a reference book on technique because this is a skill that requires practice before you depend on it. Mason jars disappear fast in any disruption. Airlock lids are specialty items. Non-iodized bulk salt gets cleaned out. None of this is expensive right now. Stock the equipment and practice the skill this week. Make a batch of sauerkraut with what you already have in your kitchen. The learning curve is not steep, but it needs to happen before you are depending on it. Item 4 is prescription medications. And this is the item that frustrates people most, because it is the hardest to control. Most physicians write 30-day prescriptions, sometimes 90 days for maintenance medications. Insurance companies often will not cover a refill until you are within a narrow window of running out. The system is not built for emergency stocking. Here is what you can control. Fill every prescription the moment it becomes eligible for a refill. Do not wait until you are out. Do not wait until 3 days remain. Fill it as early as your coverage allows, every single time, without exception. Over months, that discipline builds you a meaningful buffer that could be critically important. Talk directly to your doctor about an emergency supply prescription. Some physicians will write one for critical medications, particularly for patients who manage their conditions responsibly. Some states legally require pharmacies to dispense an emergency supply of certain medications during a declared disaster. Know what applies in your state before you are in the situation where that knowledge actually matters. For anyone who takes medications that are truly life-sustaining, this planning is not optional. It is the first thing on the priority list, above everything else in this video. Get ahead of it now and stay ahead of it. Item 5 is firearms and ammunition. During extended disruptions, civil order becomes unpredictable. Law enforcement resources get stretched thin. Supply scarcity creates desperation in some portion of any population. The responsibility for your family's safety shifts more heavily onto your own shoulders. That is not fear. That is documented history across every major infrastructure collapse event on record. Ammunition in particular disappears faster than almost anything else during a crisis. From late 2020 through much of 2021, common calibers became nearly impossible to find at any price. People who had stocked during calmer periods were in good shape. People who tried to stock during the shortage were largely out of luck, regardless of budget. Stock your calibers now. Rotate through your supply at the range on a regular schedule to stay proficient and keep the stock fresh. Know your equipment inside and out. Know your local laws on storage and transport. Be a responsible, trained owner who takes the responsibility seriously. The goal is not aggression. The goal is to not be a target. A household that can defend itself is in a fundamentally different position than one that cannot. Make certain your household is in the first category before the window closes. Item 6 is cash. The digital economy runs entirely on infrastructure. Internet goes down, card readers stop working, bank systems go offline, ATMs go dark. If a natural disaster, a grid event, or a financial disruption takes down electronic payment systems, the only medium of exchange that still functions is physical cash in your hand. Most people today carry almost nothing in physical currency. Most transactions are contactless or card-based. That is exactly what makes cash so valuable the moment those systems fail. The people who have it can transact. The people who do not are stuck. The number that gets repeated in preparedness circles is $5,000 to $10,000 in physical cash held at home in a secure location. For many households, that number is out of reach, and that is completely understandable. The principle applies at any amount. Even $500 in small bills gives you real practical purchasing power when cards do not work and the digital system is down. Small denominations matter more than people realize. If you show up somewhere with a $100 bill and nobody has change, the transaction does not happen regardless of intent. Think of your cash reserve as a practical operational tool, not a savings account. 5s, 10s, and 20s are the working denominations. Stack those. Item 7 is fuel. Fuel itself may not sit on a grocery store shelf, but everything that goes with it absolutely does. Gas cans, fuel transfer equipment, and above everything else, fuel stabilizers. These are the supplies that vanish from hardware store shelves fast when any emergency hits. Untreated gasoline has a shelf life of roughly 3 to 6 months in a standard storage container. Add a quality fuel stabilizer, and that window extends to 12 to 24 months, depending on the product and your storage conditions. Without stabilizer, the fuel degrades, engine components gum up, and you have containers full of liquid that will not run your generator, your vehicle, or any other equipment when you actually need it. Rotation is not optional. Fill your containers, treat the fuel, cycle through it by running it through your vehicles and equipment on a regular schedule. Then refill. That rotation keeps your supply fresh and your equipment operational every time you need it. If your home runs on heating oil or a whole house propane system, call your supplier now and establish the habit of keeping the tank above 50% at all times. Do not wait for the gauge to drop before you call. That one habit puts you ahead of the vast majority of people in your area when supply gets tight. Item 8 is batteries. AA and AAA batteries are the practical currency of emergencies: radios, flashlights, weather alert devices, children's needs, medical equipment. The demand for batteries spikes immediately during any power-related event, and the shelves clear out in a matter of hours. The approach I recommend is a 2-track system. Track 1. Stock a substantial supply of quality alkaline batteries in the sizes your household uses most. Track 2. Invest in a set of rechargeable NiMH batteries in those same sizes, paired with a quality charger that can run off your solar setup or your generator output, so you are not dependent on the grid to recharge them. For storage, cool and dry is the rule. A basement shelf, a dedicated sealed container, anywhere away from heat sources. Quality alkaline batteries stored properly will hold most of their charge for close to 10 years. Rechargeable NiMH cells can go through hundreds of charge cycles before their capacity starts to drop meaningfully. Watch for bulk deals at hardware stores. The large multi-packs are almost always the best value per battery. Keep premium cells for critical devices and use the value packs for less essential applications. The key is having enough inventory that a power outage does not immediately strand you. Item 9 is propane. Propane goes fast, and prices have been climbing significantly. Whether you use it for a camping stove as a backup cooking source, a portable heater, or you run propane for your home, supply can tighten very quickly when demand spikes across a region. For portable canisters, keep a meaningful stock of both the standard 1-pound camping canisters and the larger refillable 20-pound cylinders if your equipment supports them. Here's the important thing about propane. The fuel itself does not expire. Propane stores indefinitely in a sealed, undamaged container. The canister hardware may degrade over very long periods, but the fuel inside is stable. For whole home propane systems, keep the tank above 50% as a hard rule. Schedule fills proactively. Do not wait for the gauge to drop before you call your supplier. That one habit ensures you always have supply when your neighbors are scrambling for a delivery. The gap between stocked and not stocked on propane is the gap between being able to cook a hot meal and heat a space during a multi-day outage versus not being able to do either. At a certain point, that gap is the difference between a manageable situation and a dangerous one. Item 10 is over-the-counter medications. During a crisis, common ailments that normally require nothing more than a quick pharmacy run become serious problems if your shelves are empty. Gastrointestinal illness is one of the most common health problems in any disaster scenario. It is often caused by water contamination or food handling breakdown when normal infrastructure is disrupted. It can hit fast and it can hit hard. Having the right medications on hand is the difference between a manageable situation and a dangerous one. The core list of what you need: ibuprofen and acetaminophen in bulk containers, antidiarrheal medication, antihistamines, antacids, cough and cold medications, electrolyte powder, topical antibiotic ointment, eye drops. Buy the larger bulk packages every time. The cost per dose drops significantly at volume, and the supply lasts longer. Store them correctly, cool, dry, and away from direct sunlight. Check expiration dates once a year and rotate out anything approaching the end of its window. These are inexpensive items that represent enormous practical value the moment you cannot simply drive to a pharmacy and grab what you need. Stack them now while stores are fully stocked and prices are normal. There is no reason to be caught without them. Item 11 is flashlights and lanterns. This one sounds obvious, but the reality in most households is that the lighting situation is dramatically under-resourced for an actual power outage. One flashlight shared among 4 or 5 people trying to navigate a dark house, prepare a meal, check on children, and manage an ongoing situation is not a plan. It is a compounding problem that makes everything else harder. Every person in your household needs their own dedicated light source. Rechargeable LED flashlights for individual use. At minimum, 2 area lanterns for common spaces like the kitchen and main living area. A headlamp for hands-free work situations. A battery-powered backup lantern that does not depend on recharging. The redundancy matters here. Rechargeable lights depend on your ability to charge them, which depends on power or your generator being operational. Battery lights depend on batteries. Having multiple formats means no single point of failure takes away all your light at once. Solar-charged lanterns that sit outside during the day and provide area light at night are an underrated low-maintenance addition to any household supply. Simple, completely grid-independent, and effective for extended situations where you cannot predict how long you will be without utility power. Item 12 is toilet paper and paper supplies. Anyone who was near a grocery store in early 2020 does not need a history lesson here. Toilet paper became the symbol of panic buying, but the real lesson underneath that moment is worth understanding. Paper supplies represent the shift from stable to disrupted. When people do not know how long a situation is going to last, they go for the daily basics immediately. Toilet paper is one of the first things to disappear. Because stores carry limited backstock of it, it takes up significant physical space in the supply chain, and people consume it every single day without thinking about it until it is gone. Stock it deep. Keep a rotation going, and expand your thinking beyond just toilet paper. Paper towels, paper plates for the transition period when water becomes too scarce to spend on washing dishes, facial tissue. All of it goes fast. All of it costs very little right now. None of it will be sitting on the shelf when conditions shift and everyone realizes they need it at the same time. This is one of the easiest categories on this entire list to get ahead of. Buy extra every time you shop until you have a meaningful supply. Then rotate through it and keep the cycle going. No skill required, just consistency. Item 13 is hygiene supplies. Soap, detergent, shampoo, toothpaste. These feel like low-priority items next to some things on this list. During a 48-hour power outage, they are. Extend that timeline to weeks or months, and hygiene shifts from a comfort issue to a genuine health issue. Skin infections from poor sanitation, dental problems from neglected oral care, gastrointestinal illness from sanitation breakdown. These are real, documented outcomes from extended hygiene disruption, not hypothetical scenarios. They add serious burden to an already stressful situation for your family. Bar soap is exceptionally well suited for long-term storage. There is no practical expiration date for bar soap in a cool, dry environment. Buy it in quantity now. Store it. Use the oldest bars first and rotate forward. For laundry detergent, powder formulas store significantly longer than liquid, often several years in sealed packaging. Make the switch to powder for your stored supply. Stock feminine hygiene products, dental supplies, including spare toothbrushes and hand sanitizer, at volumes that actually cover your household through an extended event. These items go fast when supply disrupts. They cost very little right now. There is no reason not to have them in depth. Item 14 is baby and infant supplies. If there is a baby or young child in your household, your extended family, or your close community network, diapers and infant supplies belong on your prep list. The challenge specific to diapers is that babies grow. A 3-month supply for a newborn is a completely different size and item count than a 3-month supply for a toddler. Plan for the current size your child is in, and carry a smaller quantity of the next size up as a transition bridge. The reusable approach, quality cloth diapers with waterproof covers, is worth serious consideration for any prepared household. The upfront investment is higher, but the supply literally does not run out. They wash, they dry, they work again. During a prolonged disruption, that structural advantage over disposables becomes extremely significant very quickly. Watch for diaper sales aggressively, and take full advantage of retail reward programs that return gift cards or credits on bulk purchases. Apply that same discipline to formula, baby food, and infant-specific medications. These items go fast in any supply disruption. Stock them while the stores have them in abundance and prices are still normal. Item 15 is pet food. The family members that walk on four legs get left out of prepping conversations far too often. If a dog, a cat, birds, or any other animal depends on you for food, they belong in your supply planning from day one. Canned pet food stores on essentially the same timeline as human canned goods. The physical integrity of the can matters far more than any printed date. An undamaged can that has not been compromised structurally is almost certainly safe, well beyond what the label says. Dry kibble is cheaper and easier to store in volume, but the practical shelf life is shorter, roughly 12 to 18 months before the fats in the food start oxidizing. A rancid smell, something resembling old cooking oil or a synthetic odor, is the signal. Do not feed it past that point. Stock during sales. Rotate regularly. If you have multiple animals or large breeds that go through volume quickly, build the supply faster than you think you need to. Your animals cannot tell you they are out of food on day one of a 3-week disruption, and they are counting entirely on you. Those are 15 items, none of them food, none of them water. That will leave shelves faster than almost anything else when conditions change. Let me run the full list, one more time so you have it. 1. Agricultural lime and quicklime for sanitation. 2. Heirloom non-hybrid seeds for food production. 3. Fermentation supplies for food preservation. 4. Prescription medications. 5. Firearms and ammunition. 6. Cash in small denominations. 7. Fuel and fuel stabilizers. 8. Batteries. 9. Propane. 10. Over-the-counter medications. 11. Flashlights and lanterns. 12. Toilet paper and paper supplies. 13. Hygiene supplies. 14. Baby and infant supplies. 15. Pet food. Every single one of these items is available right now. Most of them are on sale somewhere near you this week if you look for 5 minutes. The situation you are preparing for has not happened yet. Use that time. Do not waste it. The time to stock a fire extinguisher is not when the kitchen is on fire. The time to fill a spare tire is not when you are standing on a highway shoulder at night. The time to stock these items is now, while nobody is competing with you for them, while prices are normal, and while your choices are not being made under pressure. If you watched this whole list and you thought of something I left off, drop it in the comments right now. I want to see what you would add. These conversations make this channel better, and they help everyone watching learn something they might have missed. If this video was useful to you, share it with one person who should see it. That is the most valuable thing you can do for this channel and for the people around you, because the more people who are prepared, the better the situation is for everyone in a community when things get hard. Until next time, stay ready, stay practical, and do not wait until the shelves are empty to start building your supply.